Hi everybody, this is Alec with Home and Rehab, and I want to talk to you guys today about something I actually was talking about with a couple patients and a couple friends this week. Obviously, we're at the beginning of the year, we're having a whole lot of people who are working hard on their weight loss routines. But one of the things that I talk with about a lot of people is, I want to make sure I'm eating correctly. Well, there are a lot of different ways to make sure we're doing this correctly, and one of the ways I always try to talk to people about is make sure that you're not starving yourself. So, there are a lot of different types of crash diets, but most of them involve something called a specific caloric restriction. Things like the Atkins diet, the keto diet, and our own ideal protein diet try to make sure that your body gets a certain amount of food without having so many nutrients that would add to our fat, but allow our body to use what's inside it and try to actually metabolize that. The base idea behind this is that your body actually will store more fat if you're trying to starve yourself. If it knows it's getting food while it's eating, or if it knows it's getting food while you're trying to lose weight, it's not going to try and store things quite as hard. The base idea is very simply your human survival. When your body knows it is in a full caloric deficit and it cannot get more food, any food it takes, if it doesn't use it, it's going to keep that energy for later. Now that is stored, of course, as fat. That's why we have fat in general, is it is energy storage to be used at a later date. So, certain types of diet, including Atkins, keto, and ideal protein, are designed to allow our body to know it is still getting food, but force it into a deficit that allows it to start to metabolize the stuff it already has, our fat stores, the energy stores that we're already using. So, I always like to make sure when we're talking to people about weight loss, what we're not talking about is caloric restriction to the point where you can't eat. This can actually be extremely unhealthy for a variety of reasons. Not only the psychological impact that we associate with things like eating disorders, but the physical toll that it takes on your body to have no nutritious input can actually be detrimental in the long term and can cause some of these maladaptations which create a larger weight gain in the long term. Now, that's one of the reasons I like our ideal protein program personally, is, like we talk about, creating that strategic caloric deficit that allows our body to metabolize what is currently being stored without going into starvation, also has some long-term benefits when it comes to transitioning off of that. Because your body has been used to eating and still losing weight, when we start to transition to a more sustainable diet, which is something that our program really works hard to do, that sustainable diet allows our body to transition very seamlessly into that understanding that, okay, I'm not going to starve, I don't need to store all this food quite as much. That's hugely important as we're trying to go into our sustainable long-term health goals. And that's really what health and weight loss is about. I don't just want you to be below a certain weight because it looks good on a number scale. The reason that we're worried about high weight in a lot of people is that, of course, those things can contribute to things like diabetes, high cholesterol can create risk of stroke. We can have a lot of different metabolic disorders, heart conditions that arise from this high level of fat within our body. So if we're yo-yoing, all we're doing is temporarily decreasing that. And when we create that long-term risk, we're even creating bigger risks for our health in the future. So doing things the right way can be extremely important. And that's why we advise that when people are trying to go through weight loss, they go through some sort of nutritional counseling that makes sure they're doing things appropriately. There are a lot of different utilities available for this. Of course, lots of clinics like ours will always offer somebody who's a nutritionist or a registered dietitian to help out with that. But on the other hand, there are a couple websites that are a little bit more reputable than others. One of my favorites to use for people who don't feel that a nutritionist is right for them is to go onto a group called MyPlate. It's a government set up website that allows you to input your current diet and can talk to you about your goals. You can put in what you would like to do, whether it's gain muscle, lose a certain amount of weight, and take a look at what you're currently eating and tell you, well, you're missing these nutrients, that's probably playing a role. You are eating way too much of this nutrient, that's probably playing a role. And it will allow you to adjust those numbers and input your diet and track it through there. These can be great ways to start to evolve as you're trying to get better. So, making sure you have resources that make you accountable and educate you on the specific nutrition that you need to know about can be a huge part of weight loss. But, most importantly, please don't starve yourself. It's worse for you in the long run, and as a matter of fact, has even more risk factors associated with it. So be careful. And if you guys have questions about that stuff, let us know, because of course we do have someone wonderful on staff to talk to you about it. Have a great day.